I'm going to share 3 things every young woman should know. Don't beat yourself up about these things. Obviously, the sooner you learn them, the better. But if you're learning them a little bit later in life, or what you would consider to be old, don't worry about it. As long as you learn them, and not only learn them, embrace them and put them into practice in your life will change. Okay. The first is, I don't want you to focus on being young, wild, and free. I think that is something that the world tells us to do. It sounds very inspirational, but it actually causes a lot of detriment. Instead, we want to be young. We want to be intelligent. We want to be impressionable. And there's a reason that I say this. Typically, when we think about being young, wild, and free, we're like, I can live my life however I want. I don't have to answer to anyone. There's freedoms. There's boundaries. I can do whatever it is that I want. And of course, young and free are not necessarily bad. It's the wild part. And then the concept of being young and accepting of making silly mistakes, accepting of doing things that just don't make sense, accepting of, oh, it's okay, I'm young. Yes, you are young. Yes, you are going to make mistakes. No, you are not going to be perfect, and no one expects you to be. The problem is the wording and the way that we embrace that wording and the way that we embrace silly things when we are young. So for instance, it's also very commonplace when young people go off to college. There is this culture of freedom and expression and partying that we just know is going to come with the concept of, I'm also there to get my education, when really it's, I'm there to get my education, and that's what I should be focusing on. And partying and living wild and free doesn't necessarily have to be a part of that. And I'm not beating anybody down, because I know a lot of us have been there. But what I'm saying is, coming out on the other side of that, a lot of young people don't realize that the FOMO and thinking that you have to do all of these things in a moment, it really doesn't matter. And a lot of those things that we did when we were younger, sometimes we look back and we're like, probably shouldn't have done that, right? And so when we think about this concept of being young and free, I don't want young women to equate that with promiscuity. Because yes, you can be young, you can sleep with whoever it is that you want. That does not come without consequences, even if you don't physically wear those consequences through a pregnancy or a tarnished name. It comes with heartache. It comes with emotional attachment. And a lot of us try to pretend like it's not that serious. We even have music and media that makes us convinced that it's not, where we see women having multiple partners, having multiple encounters, having all of these men and hookup culture and city girl aspect of things. When the truth of it is, we are not meant to share ourselves with everybody in that way intimately. And it does do something to us. Even if you think that it doesn't, even if the consequences are not right now, you having all of those partners, you living a life that is irresponsible and calling it just being young and free, is counterproductive to the things that you want to work toward. So that's mostly what I want to focus on with the wild aspect. But let me talk about what I mean when I say I want you to be young, intelligent, and impressionable. When you're young, you have a lot of fresh creative ideas. And a lot of times we think that, oh, I'm young, I'm inexperienced, I don't know anything. But if you start to pour into and embrace the things that you do know, and even some of the things you don't know, when you are passionate about topics, when you feel really good about things, they make you light up. You don't have to know everything about it. Just embrace being impressionable in that area. Embrace being excited about that thing. So if you're an artist, or if you're a filmmaker, but you're an amateur filmmaker, put your content out. Every time you have the opportunity to use it, do so. Maybe you go to school and you join your film club and nobody records the games. Maybe you start volunteering. Nobody's going to pay you to do it, right? But you start volunteering to go to the games, whichever games are in season, and you do the highlights for the game and you start posting them to the YouTube page. Or maybe you ask the team, the coaches or the admin, about if you can put out like a social media page for these people, and you just start making the content. And maybe it doesn't do well, but you are now creating something consistently that's going to help you to build a portfolio outside of just, I'm going to class and these are my requirements, and then one day I'm going to ask somebody for an internship. You create leverage for yourself, because while you're in this program where you say you want to work in this field, you're also building up a hobby and helping this organization in the process, because they're also going to be excited. The people who play on the team, if you show them the clips and the reels and the highlights, they're going to want that. They're going to share it to their family, because they're all out of town. Nobody can see them play. Maybe you don't go to this huge school where they have TV time. Maybe it's not a D1 school, but you're still doing something that's mutually beneficial for other people. That's just one example. This can apply to anything. This can apply to the field of finance. This can apply to the field of fashion. This is communication. This is education, even particularly education. There are certain fields where it's really easy to do this. It's really easy to be in school for education or something to do with that field, and you call up a school and see what types of resources they need. They may not have the funding to pay you, but as a volunteer or as an uncertified intern, you can be tutoring kids. You can be there helping them with their program management. You can be helping them to put ideas together. And so because you're not experienced, obviously you wouldn't go there demanding in either of these situations lots of money. But you could go into those situations and say, hey, this is the skill set that I have. This is my passion. This is what I'm working for. And I am willing to do X, Y, and Z to help you to get this so that I can do this. Learning to be impressionable in that way where you can negotiate and advocate for yourself, but create a place where people actually want to work with you. I think the younger you are when you learn that, the better, because it's actually a life skill that most of us don't ever learn in life. And when we do learn it, it's very transactional and we feel like people have to bend to our demand. So you may take your unexperienced self. This is the same entitlement that exists when people go into a workforce and they want more or they demand more than what they're actually, than what the people are actually required to give them. So you're demanding more than what your perceived value is. It's not to say that you're not valuable, but if you haven't proven yourself, but if you don't have a track record, what is your value? If you're not showing up in that space, what is your value? So learning to be young, intelligent, and impressionable is going to take you a lot farther than wasting your youth on just being wild and free and trying to figure it out. You're going to figure it out anyway. You're going to make mistakes anyway, but you will serve yourself better in those mistakes that are not senseless and in those mistakes that, well, I thought I was doing the right thing. I know you don't think you're doing the right thing running around here sleeping with everybody. So I'm not going to address that any further. I am going to share, like I said, 3 of these. So that was the first. These tips are all coming from a book that I am putting out. It is not yet ready. I am going to be taking pre-orders, but the book is going to be focused on womanhood and the things that you can do to improve your womanhood. And so the title of the book is Wise and Bold Woman, and it's the 21-day fix to transform your womanhood. I am going to put all of the details in the description so that if you want to actually pre-order the book, you can. There are going to be some benefits to pre-ordering. There are some additional resources that will be available with the book. You will actually get complimentary access to our community for 30 days, which is really cool. I'm excited to offer that. You also get free shipping. So you can pre-order if you like the benefits that are going to be described and available with the book release, or you can wait until the book is available to the public and forfeit those benefits. It's completely up to you. Don't want to twist your arm. So the second thing that I want to share with you is to stop making excuses. You have to stop making excuses. The sooner you learn that, the better your life will be. Excuses a lot of times make us feel better about where we are not. They make us feel more comfortable in the fact that we haven't done the things that we say that we're going to do. When you make an excuse, what you're really doing is saying, okay, I didn't do the thing that I was supposed to do. I fell short in some area of my life where I knew I could have delivered or I intended to deliver, but there's a reason. There's a reason. I didn't do it because of this. And I want you to ask yourself, when you make an excuse, what are you accomplishing? What actually comes out of you giving an excuse? Because at the end of the day, the excuse doesn't mean that you delivered the thing. It just means, hey, I have a reason for not showing up. So if you let somebody down, if you say that you're going to babysit for this family because you're working on your childhood education stuff, okay, and you're going into that field and you commit to babysitting this night for this family, but something comes up. You want to go somewhere with your friends. You want to go to a party or something. Anything comes up. Even if it's a valid excuse, you tell that family that excuse. Here's what happens on the other side of your excuse. So when you give your excuse, oh, okay, good. They're not just a no call, no show. There was a reason for them not showing up. At least they called me. But at the other side of that, they still need help. That family still needs help. That family still needs someone to come through for them. And so one of the things that I will add here is not only do you not want to make excuses, but you want to put yourself in a position where when you do make excuses, you also provide accommodations. Because an excuse does nothing for anyone except it makes you feel better about the fact that you did not deliver. And I don't want to be mean to you. I don't want to beat up on you. I just want you to know, because I don't want you to grow up to be an adult who lacks accountability. And I'm saying grow up. We're all women here, even whatever age you are. Grow up meaning continue on in your life, because there are some people who are way too old to be living the way that they're living, and they love their excuses, and that's why they don't change. And I know that they love their excuses because when I make content or commentary on topics like this, it makes them very uncomfortable. They get triggered, and you hear them say things like, yeah, but Yeah, but actually you need to be more sensitive to, no, we have to call a spade a spade. And the only time that we get better is when we call a spade a spade. So if you're going to have an excuse for something, you need to also provide accommodations for that thing. Bridge the gap. So in the example of you being a nanny for a family, for instance, maybe you have other friends who are doing the same thing, other friends who are also nannying for families. And because you can't make it that night, you say, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it at this agreed upon time. If you would like, I know you haven't met her yet. This is my friend Stacy. She's available that evening and she is willing to come in at the same time and provide the same services for me. Would you like for me to give you the information? They don't have to take it if they don't want to. But what happens is you're not irresponsible and unreliable in their eyes, because even though you couldn't show up and deliver, you didn't leave them hanging. I know that you might be thinking like, that's a very heavy responsibility because sometimes I just can't do the thing. You're not going to be able to do it every time, all the time, 100% of the time, because sometimes things really do come up. I'm not really talking about those emergency situations. Somebody dies, there's some sickness or something that really needs to be addressed. I understand sometimes even overscheduling happens. Sometimes you just forget because we live in this modern world where we overcommit ourselves. That's another topic for another day because we need to stop doing that. But in those situations and instances where you know that you're going to be letting somebody else down by posing your excuse and removing yourself from the situation, start thinking about how, even though I can't do it, how can I help them with this situation? It's the same way that if a business lets you down, to make up for the void or the deficit, they try to offer you something for free or they offer you some sort of service. I've had it before where I left a bad review for something after trying to rectify the situation, and the company does not like the bad review. So they finally reach out and they want to correct the situation. Can we do something for free for you? Can we offer you this? Can we offer you that? So if you can learn to actually do that before it becomes a problem, if you can learn, like, when I have this excuse and when I have this thing that I'm going to tell them that I'm not able to make it for, how can I still be there for them? How can I make it up to them? How can I still be of service? How can I still be reliable for these people? And I think that if you learn to do that, you will learn that your life is quickly transforming. A lot of these things are just removing yourself from being so self-absorbed and selfish while still taking care of yourself. Because if you do number one, where you focus on being impressionable and intelligent instead of wild and free, although that is removing you from serving your flesh by doing anything that you want, what it is doing is helping you to build a brand, a reputable brand at that. It's helping you to look like a trustworthy person. It's helping you to look like someone who is accomplished. And look, I know we like to talk about perceptions. I don't care what anybody thinks about me. I say all the time, nobody cares what anybody thinks of them until they need to be perceived by people well. And by then it's too late. You ruin your credit and you don't care about your credit all these years, and then suddenly you want to buy a house or you need a car or you want access to a credit card, but you spent all of your time not caring what anyone thought of you, not caring to build your credit. So who's in the bad position now? And with number two, when you choose to not make those excuses for yourself, yes, it is going to be something that makes you be less selfish, because it makes you consider other people. It makes you say, I made this commitment. I did this thing. I need to make sure that I'm there for them. And in you not being selfish in that way and being accommodating by either not making the excuse and doing what you said, or when you have an excuse, providing an alternative option for them, it goes back into, wow, she's really caring. She's really thoughtful. She's really one of those people that we know that we can rely on. Yes, she doesn't always come through 100% of the time that we wanted her to, but she's always willing to deliver solutions. And again, you're not doing this in a people-pleasing way, because y'all know I'm not that person. I'm never going to tell you to people-please and bend and mold. But this is something that's very important for you to learn. Before we get into number three, I did want to tell y'all, if y'all love this hat as much as I love this hat, I got this from Belkasar & Co. Beautiful hat, beautiful. It's corduroy material, 100% cotton, and it says health is wealth. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about the brand. They are very, very, very people focused. They are very philanthropic. Every sale that is made, $7 of that sale goes to an organization. They do not disclose who the organizations are, but you are welcome to contact the company and give them a suggestion for them. I have listed my own companies in the collaboration that we've done. This is not a sponsored video. I don't get paid to tell y'all about their products. I just love them very much. I also have a discount code for this and the sweatshirt that I have from them. It's a red sweatshirt. It's very pretty. I will put the link for both of those. If you just click that link, it'll automatically apply the 10% off of your order from their website. But I did want to tell y'all about that. since I'm actually wearing the hat today, it does have an adjustable back as well. And I'm not gonna take it off and show y'all, but just trust me. The third thing that I want to share with you is that you have to learn to love and respect yourself, or the world will not. If you don't love, honor, and respect yourself, the world will not learn to love, honor, and respect you. And it has nothing to do with people wanting to be evil. It has everything to do with you modeling how people should treat you. Just like the first two examples played upon professionalism and perception and how you want the world to view you and how you want to show up as a person, this does the same. So if you're a person who doesn't love and respect yourself, nobody else is going to do it. And people know, people can sense it. People will push boundaries. It doesn't make them bad people. We don't focus on how people are treating us. We reflect instead on what it is that I'm doing that makes them feel like they can treat me this way. I also want to add that you will always be a victim. You will always be shamed and guilted into doing things if you don't learn to love, honor, and respect yourself. And so what this looks like, for example, let's say that you are in a relationship and you started dating someone and this guy is consistently late to things. You never say anything to him. You never bring it up. You never call it out. You just let it keep going. You go on to marry him and now you're irritated that he's late all the time. This isn't necessarily a big deal, or it's not necessarily something that is disrespectful, but you've allowed it to go on. So now it's not something that you can actually address in good conscience because, well, you've always allowed it. However, if you had addressed it in the beginning, even saying something subtle, you don't always have to be like with a super attitude about anything, but even if you said something subtle to him about, I'd appreciate it if we could be on time next time. You know, you said it would be this time, I waited for you this amount of minutes, and I would appreciate it if you would be on time. Now, if you want to continue to give him a chance after that, great. But now after you say it and he still disrespects your time, you need to weigh how heavily you want to be in that relationship with that man who can't even show up on time for you. And that may seem particular. If that sounds like you're being picky, I want you as a woman to reflect on the fact that you are probably not respecting and honoring yourself, because that is a bare minimum practice for a man to show up and be consistent and say that he's going to be somewhere and he's actually there at that time. I'm not talking about every now and then. I'm not talking about occasionally this happens and then he says, hey, I'm running a few minutes behind. I'm talking about this man consistently shows up late and you don't check it. That is a sign that you don't value or respect yourself, and maybe you think that you're not going to get anything better. So we have to, again, go back to calling a spade so that we can address the actual issue. Another example of this that we don't like to talk about is the way that we present ourselves. Not necessarily saying that you have to be glamour queen, super makeup all the time, but more so, how much of yourself do you expose when you do get dressed? And why is that? I will leave it there because I think that we all know what is implied here. The more revealing you dress, the more questionable it is about how you value yourself. That goes back to the young, wild, and free thing. Now, I'm also going to say there's a time and place. Everybody's going to have their little black dress that's appropriate for certain occasions, but we should also understand where we are, how we want to be perceived in those settings, and what is appropriate for us to wear. Generally speaking, the more modest, the better. You don't have to wear a smock and like be covered up to your ears and your ankles, but use your discretion and make sure that you're not revealing too much of yourself or dressing so provocatively that people don't feel like you're entitled to respect. And I will say that a lot of times in dating specifically, a lot of women don't realize how they're sabotaging themselves based on how they present. So you dress a certain way, you wear your hair a certain way, you wear a certain hair color, you wear your makeup a certain way, and then you're like, I only get approached by this type of man. I only get approached by men who want this, this, and this. And a lot of times it has to do with the fact that you're displaying yourself as that man's type. You're displaying yourself as a type of woman who does not demand much, who does not require much, who does not respect herself, does not love herself. Boom, easy target for me, easy access. I can get what I want from her. Even if it's not true, that's what he's perceiving you as when he sees you. Another way that we can talk about that, because that's just the physical, is how do you care for yourself and your personal time and your access? So do you allow any and everyone to have access to you whenever they want? Do you say yes to everything? Do you respond to every invitation even if you don't want it as yes, I'll be there? If so, you don't love, honor, and respect yourself. And one of the things that you can do to combat that is something we've been talking about in live for the past few weeks. You need to learn to say no unapologetically. Say no without explanation. If you are struggling with creating boundaries, with saying no to people, with not always doing the thing that other people want you to do because you feel bad, you're a people pleaser, learn how to start saying no. And the other assignment is I want you to work on 3 things that you've been putting off for yourself. you've been saying that you're going to do it, but you haven't started doing it. You've just been putting it off for one reason or another. I want you to work on 3 things, low barrier of entry things, small things that you can do every single day to start reminding yourself that you're going to show up for yourself, that you love yourself, that you respect yourself. And those things start to manifest in your personality and the respect that you have for yourself. And once you start learning to love, honor, and respect yourself, you will not tolerate disrespect from other people. You are going to stop allowing yourself to be a victim of other people's actions. And that's really what this is all about. So those are the 3 things that I would share with you, not necessarily the 3 things. As I mentioned, there is a long, extensive list of things that I would suggest to you if you are in that situation, but that will all be disclosed in the upcoming book release. Again, I just want to remind you that if you would like to pre-order, the details for that will be in the description of this video. You can also get access to the 5 ways that women self-sabotage by clicking that link in the description. That's a free guide that you can download, but if you download it, please do the work. Don't come back here a month after you downloaded that talking about the same old, okay? You should be getting better when you download these things. Okay. I did want to add that the Womanhood Series, this current session that's starting tomorrow, enrollment is closed, y'all. But enrollment for the following session is going to be opening up very soon. And when it is available, you will also see that link in the description of this video. So just kind of pay attention to those different things as far as what spoke to you in this video. Hopefully those things helped. If you have any questions, of course, as always, leave them in the comments and we can talk about it. If you have any things that you would like to add for the young women that they should know, come on, auntie, come on, big sis, chime in and leave it in there. I'll see y'all soon.